Bienvenidos, good morning. I'm Jose Antonio Bowen, president of Goucher College, and I'd like to welcome you to our 124th commencement. Please stand and join in the singing of our national anthem led by senior members of the Goucher College Chorus. Please then remain standing afterward for the invocation by Reverend Cynthia Terry.
As we commence the commencing, two words have been coming to mind: finally and hallelujah. It has been a long time in the making, years here at Goucher and so many years before that, finally. And there is much to celebrate, to be grateful for, so many who have made it possible for each of you, so much that you have done and accomplished. Hallelujah. It's fitting that we pause at the very beginning to mark the moment with gratitude and humility and joy. Let us pray. For all those who have been part of this journey, those here in person, online, and in memory, we give thanks. For all those who have taught and mentored, listened and shared, laughed and cried, been patient and sometimes pushy, we give thanks. For all those who are taking leave today, graduates and their families, some of our trustees and colleagues, we give thanks. For learning and growth, the deepening of roots and the bearing of fruit, we give thanks. Bless these graduates with all they need for the journey. We know that their paths will not always be clear or straightforward, and certainly not always easy. So we ask that they might be blessed with stamina and creativity, with a high tolerance for the unknown, with listening hearts and open minds for whatever lies ahead. Bless them with the courage to take on what the world needs. May they find their true vocation, where their deepest passion meets the world's greatest needs. Finally, the time is at hand, and we give thanks. Shower blessings on these graduating students. May it be so. Hallelujah.
Congratulations, graduates. That's okay. So graduates, I hope you have enjoyed your time at Goucher. Do you remember way back when, 4 long years ago, when you arrived at Goucher College? The good old days before Snapchat, Uber, Yik Yak, and memes. Before Kim Kardashian broke the internet. Before any swipe could change your night. Before there was a word for people who like indie rock, drink cheap beer, ride a bike, wear skinny jeans and Ray-Bans. Perhaps you remember those days long ago when people watched one episode of TV at a time. When Netflix was a DVD service and orange wasn't the new black. When your mom didn't know what twerking was. When you didn't know what twerking was. When catfishing was something you did with Grandpa. And when you weren't identified by BuzzFeed quizzes telling you which Hunger Games district you belong in, or before the insane popularity of Bay. Graduates, do you remember freshman year when the iPad had just been introduced? When you could eat your food without first posting it on Instagram? When you could throw a sock without hitting a zombie? During that golden age when movies didn't have to be a superhero sequel or spin-off. Before people were hashtag sorry not sorry about talking in hashtags. And by the way, the hashtag for today is at Goucher 2015. So please share your photos and thoughts on social media, of course. Your world has changed. But hopefully over the last 4 years, you have changed too. You have many people to thank for that. I hope you've been inspired by the quality of our faculty and by their dedication to you. Yes, they forced you to rewrite that paper and told you the truth about your experiment or design when you probably didn't want to hear it. But no group of faculty in the world care more about your success and well-being than do your teachers and staff at Goucher College. Our faculty are an incredibly accomplished group of professors. In addition to spending countless hours teaching and mentoring you, our professors have redesigned courses to teach students mathematical scientific computation and community politics in Baltimore by spending time attending workshops, meeting with community residents, interviewing community organizers. And they designed new courses to link to our civil rights themed semester. They published books on Japanese history, national parks, the trumpet, the nexus of literature and science, terminal logic behavior, and differential equations. They've written articles that have appeared in esteemed publications from Geoform, Progress in Human Geography, the Journal of Management Education, Word Riot, Environmental Humanities, Sociology Compass, the Cairo Papers, Teaching of Psychology, Journal of Financial Planning, and the Kenyon Review. They've had their expert opinions and sage advice published in The American Scholar, The Morning Call, The Wall Street Journal, The New York Times, Mindful Money magazine, among many others. They've presented at the American College Dance Association, Comparative Drama Conference, the American Academy of Religion, the Association of Black Psychologists, the Political Science Association, the Society for Cinema and Media Studies, the American Psychological Association, and the American Anthropological Association. They've completed book chapters on emotional labor in the liberal arts, the colonization of Taiwan, Japanese deportation, positive psychology in African Americans, neocolonialism, and early modern publishing practices. They've choreographed dances across the country, acted and directed in New York. They've read your poetry on the BBC in England. They've won awards for short story collections, research on a Venetian landscape artist, and the study of community-based learning. All of this in just this year alone. But more importantly, they cared enough about you to set the bar very, very high. I hope you remember the personal attention, the honesty, the late nights, the long conversations, the very high standards, and mostly, how dedicated they remain to your success. I hope you come back and tell us what you're doing, because saying thank you really matters. As those of you about to embark on teaching careers are soon to find out, no one enters teaching for the money. We live for those moments when students say, "Thank you, you made a difference." So I ask the faculty of Goucher College please to rise so that we can all say thank you. Faculty. We are also fortunate to have such a dedicated group of staff working to support faculty and students every day. They check out your books, fix your computers, answer our phones, remove snow, clean our classrooms, and keep everything running so that we can focus on learning. They've also worked very hard to create this event for all of us today. Thanks especially to the folks who work in the offices of the Dean of Students, Communications, the Registrar, Events and Conference Services, Public Safety, Facility, Management Services, the Goucher College Bookstore, and Bon Appetit, who all together coordinated today's ceremony. Please help me thank them. Graduates, I'd also like you to look around at the supporters and friends who stayed up with you while you memorized formulas, rewrote that proposal, encouraged you with that problem set, or massaged your sore ankle. Look around at the friends and roommates who listened to you moan about Stimson, did mock interviews or edited your paper. Everyone needs a support system, and you were lucky to have such an extensive one. You owe a special thanks today to your parents and relatives, many of whom are here. You may have gotten out of the habit of confiding everything to mom or dad, but they will always be your family and your supporters. Will all of the relatives, parents, friends who are here to celebrate the accomplishments of one of our students, please stand so we can all say thank you to all of you. Parents, relatives, please know that you have Goucher's gratitude as well. We've had the privilege of supporting and nurturing the seeds you have planted. The trust you have placed in us is enormous, and we have given it our heart and soul. We are grateful that you have entrusted us with this precious time with your children. Finally, will the Goucher class of 2015 please rise and remain standing? You can stand there for a minute. We're going to talk about you the way your parents like to do. You are an amazingly talented and accomplished group. Already, you have introduced the President of the United States, and one of you has completed your Goucher degree while raising 5 children. Some of you will now be joining Teach for America, and one will be serving as a medical service officer in the Army National Guard. Some of you will be staying near Goucher, and others are moving far away to Hawaii or to Russia to teach English. At least one of you will be training for the 2016 Olympic trials in swimming. We know from previous years that 96% of you will be working or in graduate school within a year. And many of you already have great jobs at Johns Hopkins, Lincoln Financial in Philadelphia, at Raytheon, Morgan Stanley, as a company dancer for the Baltimore Ballet, as an education manager at a catering company in Chicago, and as teachers in schools from Baltimore to Texas, just to name a few. Many of you are off to start graduate school. Masters and PhDs are off to medical school at Carnegie Mellon, Columbia, Loyola, NYU, Vanderbilt, American University, Johns Hopkins University, Trinity College in Dublin, the Sorbonne, Temple University, Brooklyn College, and the list goes on and on. Some of you will also be continuing your studies here at Goucher through our excellent master's programs. Many of you are about to start dream internships and fellowships at Kennedy Krieger Institution, at the global PR firm Burstyn Marsteller, at C Management, or Hill plus Knowlton Strategies in New York, or as a writer for Baltimore's City paper. And you are also going to continue your Goucher legacy of giving back and making the world a better place, working at nonprofits such as International Rescue Committee, the Greater Homeward Community Corporation, as a youth outreach coordinator to end child prostitution and trafficking, and as a campaign manager for Food and Water Watch. One of you has already founded a nonprofit, the Mother Nation, that affords mothers with choices and resources through educational scholarships. Your accomplishments have motivated and challenged us to be better faculty and better human beings. We have learned so much from each other and have created beautiful new ideas and work together. You, our graduates, have earned this degree in this moment of recognition. We have been honored to have you here, and we all applaud you. Congratulations, graduates. We have asked much of you, but now I ask one more thing. I ask that you find meaning in what you've learned and in what you can now contribute to the world. Many of you came here wanting to prepare for careers, but also wanting to find fulfillment and to improve your ability to make the world a better place. Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel writes, quote, "A person is one of whom demands can be made, who has the capacity to respond to what is required. The most important experience in the life of every human being is this: something is asked of me. Meaning is found in responding to the demand. I am commanded, therefore I am." End quote. As human beings, you are commanded to interact with the world, to respond. What will you do? I hope we have trained you well to be skilled at your craft and enterprising in your life. I hope you will have many fulfilling jobs and joy in your domestic lives. But I hope your work will be more than just work. To what in the world will you respond? Heschel ultimately asks that you be moved by the question, am I needed? Ask yourself, how are you needed in this world? Why you? Because as graduates of Goucher College, you know about discipline and perseverance and hard work, and you take ideas and you make them real in action. But also because each of you carries a piece of the human puzzle that no one else has ever had. No one else has ever had or ever will have your unique combination of talents, experiences, and purpose. No one else will ever have your personal imagination or odd sense of humor again. If you fail to make your unique contribution, that shortcoming can never be rectified. The world will lose something precious. Something special is asked of each person. Each of you is needed to make a special contribution to make the world whole. There is a role that only you can play. If you're blessed and fortunate enough to have good health, family, friends, employment, life will be pleasant, maybe even satisfying. But I hope you aspire to be what E.E. Cummings called humans, to be more than just humans merely being. Respond to the world. Be commanded. Find your unique contribution to the world and answer the ultimate question. Which piece of our future can only you provide? Good luck. Next, you will hear from our student speaker from the class of 2014, Dory Anna Shevlin. Dory is from Youngstown, Ohio, third-generation Goucher, where she graduated high school as a class valedictorian. Upon receiving the full tuition dean's scholarship at Goucher, she chose to double major in communication and media studies and English with a writing concentration. She earned several honors in these academic subjects, including the Kratz Fellowship Award in Fiction, the Gloria Levine Prize in Communication and Media Studies, the Lizette Woodward Reese Award in Fiction, the Janet Sloan Miller Award in English, and the Aaron Falorca Memorial Academic Achievement Award in Communication and Media Studies. Additionally, she's been on the Dean's List all 4 years and was inducted into Phi Beta Kappa this week. During her time at Goucher, Dory worked as a tutor and manager of the Writing Center and as a teacher's assistant for the English department. She edited for the Dance Newsletter and Verge, and she was a contributing editor to the Q. Additionally, she performed in several shows through the dance department and served as president of the Film Club. Please join me in welcoming underachiever and senior class speaker, Dory Ann Shevlin.
Good morning, students and faculty, parents and grandparents, distinguished guests and not so distinguished guests, and siblings reluctantly forced out here with the vague promise of a crab cake. Class of 2015, we would not be here today without the academic support, emotional support, and let's be honest, financial support of the wonderful people in these seats. Please, a round of applause for them, their love, and their patience. Thank you. Several weeks ago, when I started thinking about our impending graduation from this school, a certain J.R.R. Tolkien quote came to my mind. It's one of those quotes that you hear repeated a lot, but not many people know that it's actually pulled from The Lord of the Rings. For those of you who may not have read the book, the context is that a hobbit named Frodo is wandering around Middle-earth trying to destroy an evil and magical ring. Anyways, it's not an easy task, and so his wizard mentor Gandalf sends him the poem to sort of cheer him up and guide him on his journey. I'm not going to read you the whole poem because, as my fellow students learned in class, you never have to read the whole thing. But the most important line in the poem is this: not all who wander are lost. Not all who wander are lost. Class of 2015, we are some of the wanderingest people I've ever met. 4 years ago, we came here by plane, by car, and by train, from different states, and for some of us, different countries, for the vague promise of education at Goucher College. Just as Frodo left the Shire, so too did we leave our homes to start our own journeys. We threw our Target bedding onto our luxurious beds in Stimson, bought our Fear the Gopher hoodies, and started our academic careers. We were strangers in a strange land, a group of naive 18-year-olds new to college, new to Goucher, and of course new to each other. We were wanderers of the highest order. A few years later, we would become wanderers in an even bigger way. We would leave the comfort of our familiar campus to navigate a new country, a new culture, and often a new language. Just when we had established the best spot in the library to study, and what to order at Alice's, and which professors to avoid taking classes from. I'm kidding, you're all great. Just as we were becoming, in a word, adjusted, we were pushed from the proverbial bird's nest of this campus to spread our wings in a new country, to wander again. Of course, the implication of the study abroad requirement of this school, in itself special and largely definitive of the Goucher experience, is that we should wander, that only by being thrown into a new environment can we begin to understand our own environment. It should be added that, for many of us, this wandering was not just metaphorical, but literal as well. I can safely say that I would still be lost in the Paris metro if it weren't for Sally Rattray. Finally, in the biggest way, we have been wanderers in the world of academia, where none of us could have foretold what we were getting ourselves into. Even for those of us who came here knowing exactly what we wanted to study, none of us could have predicted what we would actually learn. By this, I don't just mean that we didn't realize that we would have a physical education requirement and find ourselves spending every Tuesday evening learning jujitsu, as I know at least one of my beloved classmates did. I mean that though we are all smart, hardworking students, we really were wanderers in our own studies. We came to this institution with little concept of what it would mean to get an education. Through the courses we chose or were required to take, through the clubs we joined, through the speeches we attended, the office hours we visited, the nights that turned into days in the library, we did get educated. We wandered through the academy and stumbled into a world of learning. And now, in the matter of a few minutes, we are going to wander again, out the other side, away from this tiny green campus, the place which has been our home for the last 4 years, and on to the next adventure, whatever that may be. And I know, just as well as the rest of you, that it feels scary not knowing what the future holds. It feels scary to be wandering again. If you don't feel just the littlest bit of fear in crossing the stage and shaking hands with Jose and grabbing your diploma and graduating, if you feel not the littlest bit scared by that prospect, then please meet me backstage after this speech so I can get a little sip of whatever you've been indulging in. Because the future is terrifying, or at least it feels that way. But I stand here now to tell you, and to tell myself, that it doesn't need to be, because we're not unprepared in this next journey. I know many of you have questioned the point of a liberal arts degree, or your parents have questioned why they're paying so much for you to frame a diploma which reads Bachelor of Arts in Dance, or Women's Studies, or, God forbid, Communications. These questions are not without merit. Many of us are going to spend many years paying off the price of that pretty diploma. It's only right that we should question whether it was worth the cost. But how does one measure the value of a diploma? Is it based on the job one receives after graduating? That's a tough metric. Many of us have snagged jobs with great finance firms and advertising companies and PR firms. Many of us have snagged jobs working for nonprofits or teaching at schools, which pay greatly in morale but not so much in dollar. And many of us have secured no jobs at all. So, should we instead value our degrees by how much we learned? There are many of us who have the LSAT and MCAT and GRE scores to prove this is a school which teaches. Many of us will be attending selective medical schools and law schools and graduate schools whose trust in our Goucher education seems to validate it further. But what about those of us who haven't taken a test or who aren't going on to pursue further education? How do we quantify our learning? Perhaps the only true measure of what we've learned here is what we are now able to learn. It is a common banality, one of those cliches that you hear repeated ad infinitum through every level of education, but only because it is so true. a school should teach a student to think. That comes off as somewhat rude on first reading, because of course all of us were selected to attend this school because we were deemed intelligent and therefore presumably capable of thinking. But in looking back on my 4 years here at Goucher, I realized that this is exactly what happened. I learned to think. That's not the same as knowledge, but it's also not separate from it. Because while a familiarity with economics and art and biology and Spanish are all important, really invaluable elements to our education, and arguably requirements of being well-rounded, they're not the most important elements of our education. And though, as an English and communications major, my impulse is to say that the largest part of my education came from years of studying literature and film and critical methods, this wasn't the most important thing I learned at Goucher either. It's not what shaped me the most drastically. Rather, it's the things I learned through pursuing my education which have taught me to think. It's the curiosity to dig deeper, to question what is assumed, to pay attention and to listen. The ability to think critically and deeply and sensitively, which studying these topics allowed us to acquire. The clarity to notice what matters, and the wisdom to see its complexity, and the patience to try and understand it. This is what I take away from my time at Goucher. The ability and the desire to really, in the deepest meaning of the word, think. In a few minutes, we're going to walk across this stage and leave one of the most formative chapters of our lives. We're going to leap out of the secure net of academia to stumble into our careers, into graduate school, or into our parents' basements. But we will not be doing it alone, because no matter where we wander next, we have the skills, the sensitivity, and the smarts to navigate the otherwise unexplored and unmapped terrain of our lives. We have a compass with which to guide our wandering. It's impossible to predict what our futures will hold, but with integrity, courage, and love, I'm sure that all of us will make it out all right. Class of 2015, if you take one message home with you, make it this: don't let the fear of the unknown stop you from reaching your dreams, even if you don't know what those dreams are. We may be wanderers, but that doesn't mean we're lost. Goucher College, class of 2015, congratulations on reaching this day. I wish us all a happy wandering.
Norma Lynn Fox, 76, will be presented by Florence Beck Kirtle, a distinguished member of the Goucher College Board of Trustees and an alumna from the class of 1961.
Norma Lynn Fox, even before you arrived at Goucher, you knew the benefits of a close-knit learning community. You attended grades 1 through 6 in a 3-room schoolhouse in Kennedyville on Maryland's Eastern Shore. Goucher's campus must have seemed like a downright sprawling campus when you arrived here in 1972. After earning your Bachelor's of Arts in Biological Sciences from Goucher in 1976, you were awarded a Thomas J. Watson Foundation Fellowship for 1 year of independent study. You used this fellowship to work at Cambridge University in the laboratory of Robert Edwards, best known for his role in developing in vitro fertilization. 1 year extended to 5 years, as you wound up staying in Cambridge to complete a doctorate in physiology. It was an extraordinary 5 years, highlighted by the birth of Louise Brown, the first human born after conception by in vitro fertilization. When you returned to the United States, you undertook additional training in epidemiology and biostatistics and earned a master's degree in public health from the Johns Hopkins School of Hygiene in Public Health. You were on the faculty of the University of Maryland School of Medicine for several years. Subsequently, you focused your career on clinical trials, first as a research scientist at the Maryland Medical Research Institute, and subsequently as a clinical scientist at Genentech, where you worked on a potential treatment for acute heart attacks and as the director of clinical research for Core Therapeutics. You then spent 11 years at Human Genome Services in Rockville, Maryland, where your responsibilities as the senior director of clinical research included overseeing the development of potential new therapies. In 2012, you became the director of immunoinflammation at the GlaxoSmithKline, a multi-pharmaceutical, biologics, vaccine, and consumer health care company, where you are now working on a drug for lupus. Throughout your wide-ranging career, you have worked diligently to identify the best ways to translate preclinical research to applications in the clinic. You thoughtfully evaluate and integrate complex data, and you challenge assumptions and ask critical questions. For the years, and was inducted this year into, I'm sorry, I just missed this. This year, you were inducted into the Phi Beta Kappa. I'm sorry. I should have stayed with my original script. Thank you. Great. You have been a steadfast voice of reason since becoming a member of the Board of Trustees in 2005, serving as vice chair in 2011 and as chair since 2012. You also have served the college well, helping to lead the work of the Strategic Plan Review Committee, the Campaign Planning Committee, the Presidential Search Committee, and as co-chair of the Goucher Society. Norma Fox, your career and contributions embody the importance of envisioning the potential impact of research on the lives of others. You have not only been a faithful advocate of academic research and scientific discovery, you also have been a dedicated supporter and a devoted friend of this college. For this, we honor you today with the John Franklin Goucher Medal for Distinguished Service.
As it happens, I wasn't in Phi Beta Kappa, but I would take it, even now. So, President Bowen, Congressman Lewis, members of the Board of Trustees, students, family, friends, and honored guests, and Goucher College. Each of us has our own set of values. In my personal set, learning ranks very high, and it's to the point that one of the things I address first before I take on a new project or clinical trial or other sort of activity is just how much opportunity there'll be to learn something. And that's hardwired, I get it, and it goes back even earlier than my years at the three-room schoolhouse in Kennedyville, and I'm not sure who pulled up that fact, but I congratulate them. But it was at Goucher that I developed my learning skills, really. I mean, the faculty was remarkable and challenging all of us to think, to test, to come to conclusions, and to write. The administration and the staff knew us and made it clear that they cared about us, and that is such an important part of being able to learn. I know I share that experience with many Goucher graduates. But what I'd like to acknowledge today is that 39 years after I received my diploma, I'm still learning from Goucher. The opportunity to serve on the Board of Trustees during such an exciting time in higher education has opened my eyes to many new things. And to serve as chair of this board has been a privilege, largely because this is a board that is driven to understand and work with the greater Goucher community in order to execute its responsibilities. And that community is so willing to work with the board. So thank you, Goucher. And to you, the class of 2015, I wish you the very best in pursuing those opportunities that you value the most. You have an excellent set of tools to draw upon. I wish you a lifetime of learning. Thank you.
Margaret Messler Winslow, 69, will be presented by Marilyn Suthard-Warshawski, a distinguished member of the Goucher College Board of Trustees and an alumna from the class of 1968.
Margaret Messler Winslow, you are the consummate Goucher graduate. Your life as a whole shows us the many ways compassion, steadfastness, and strong leadership can lead to both professional and personal success. You graduated from Goucher in 1969 and later continued your education with a master's degree in social work from Boston University. Your career in social work and psychotherapy has taken you to Beth Israel Hospital in Boston and into clinical settings and private practice. Using your skills, experience, and passion, you've also helped so many through your work with the Boston area Women of Promise Capital Campaign, Jericho Road Project, Newton Schools Foundation, Newton Senior Center, and Newberry College. Even as you've invested your time and talents in the Boston community, you've never left Goucher behind, serving as a class agent from 1970 to 1974, then becoming a trustee in 1969. You have been vice chair of the Board of Trustees, taking on responsibilities that will help propel Goucher to the forefront of liberal arts education. You have generously given funds to support environmental studies and international education, and you have sponsored student aid, such as through the James N. Gamble Scholarship Fund, which provides merit-based grants to worthy Goucher undergraduates. Your fundraising efforts have helped the college to construct buildings, sustain academic programs, and transform student lives. You served as vice chair of the Development and Alumni and Alumni Affairs Committee for an astounding 14 years. You've tirelessly encouraged philanthropy through the Legacy Campaign for Goucher College with the Campaign Planning Committee and the Campaign Executive Committee. You've helped Goucher pinpoint its unique identity and singular mission in a changing world, recently serving as a member of the Presidential Transition Committee for Dr. Bowen. And now, even as you make your own transition from trustee to trustee emerita this year, you're not stepping back, but rather forward. You have generously agreed to serve as the co-chair to help raise funds for the new residential construction project that will continue to build community and intellectual curiosity on our campus. Today, hundreds of young scholars, including some future social workers, will stride across this stage on the Margaret Gamble Messler Winslow 69 Great Lawn. As they start their own Goucher success story. We are honored to have you on our side, and for your contributions to Goucher, we present you with the John Franklin Goucher Medal for Distinguished Service.
Oh, Percy. Thank you, President Bowen, distinguished guests, my fellow trustees, for this wonderful honor, faculty, and wonderful staff. I'm humbled by the award and deeply proud of the time I've spent here at Goucher. In 1965, I was a 17-year-old who came from Southern California. And 2 weeks into my first year here was the first year anniversary of the death of my mother. And no one knew. It was an era when nobody talked about that kind of thing. So I went over to the Habler Chapel and sat there for a little while in the light coming through the stained glass windows. And it was the beginning of the many times that Goucher has comforted me. Several months ago, my son asked me what were my memories of my college experience. And my answer surprised him as well. I said, well, our country was at war in Vietnam. There were demonstrations on college campuses all across the country. Dr. Martin Luther King and Bobby Kennedy were assassinated, and there were riots in Baltimore. So we as a community comforted each other, and then we did what Goucher students do. We went off campus, and we helped where we could. And we stood up for what we believed in. 25 years ago, President Dorsey came to Boston and she said, I'd like you to come on the Board of Trustees. And I've been raised to be very polite, so I said, you're crazy. I have 5 children at home. I just finished my graduate degree, I'm starting my career, and then I had a bit of whatever she was eating and I said, okay. And I learned how to speak in public. I learned about fundraising and philanthropy, not only of the purse, but of the heart. And it became a channel for my great belief in education, through which, being educated, we learn to accept and respect our differences. We live in peace, hopefully, and we will be able to sustain our earth. As I look out at you on this class of 2015, I am filled with congratulation and also awe for your journey that I heard about yesterday that you've made to come to this day, to your achievements, and the tremendous potential for you all to make a difference. This award is so deeply appreciated by me. I think I'm going to make it through without crying, but it means that much to me. And you are representative for why I have done it. It's people like you going back, you are joining 16,000 graduates of Goucher College, all of us, with our unique Goucher experience. And we make a difference in this world. So I say, pay it forward if you can. Cherish what you have experienced. And our new song, right? We are Goucher, we are many, we are one, and this is home. Thank you so much.
The honorary degree will now be conferred. The Honorable John R. Lewis will be presented by Dr. Kelly Brown Douglas, Professor of Religion.
John R. Lewis, you have often been called one of the most courageous persons the civil rights movement ever produced. And your bravery, your perseverance in the face of overwhelming odds, and your tireless pursuit of justice for all people continue to inspire new generations of activists. You joined the movement while studying at seminary school in Nashville, organizing anti-segregation sit-ins and demonstrations, and enduring arrest and beatings as one of the freedom fighters of the early 1960s. As one of the founders and later the chairman of the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, you helped to define what it means to be a politically active youth in the United States. And in the face of senseless and bigoted physical attacks, you remained a staunch advocate for peace and for empowering people to change their government. You helped to organize the March on Washington in 1963, where you said, "Wake up, America, wake up, for we cannot stop, and we will not and cannot be patient." And you did not stop. You were not patient. After the passage of the Civil Rights Act, when black voters were still being prevented from registering in the South, you were not patient. You helped lead marches across the Edmund Pettus Bridge on March 7th, 1965, a day that was a day that has become infamous as Bloody Sunday. The images from that march were seared into the American conscience, where they remain as a warning and a lesson, an illustration of the worst of humanity, but also of the best and the bravest. In 1981, you entered politics as city councilman in Atlanta, and 5 years later, you were elected to the U.S. Congress, where you have become a respected elder statesman. In 2011, when President Barack Obama gave you a Medal of Freedom, he called you the conscience of the United States Congress, still speaking, he said, his mind on issues of justice and equality. Your dedication to the universal civil rights has also made you an outspoken supporter of gay rights and women's rights. Recently, when you were asked what advice you would offer to today's young activists, you said, "Be like a pilot light and not like a firecracker. A firecracker just pops off and it's gone. A pilot light will continue to burn." John R. Lewis, for being a pilot light, for continuing to burn, for your dedication to the cause of civil rights for everyone, for not being patient, and for never stopping, we proudly present to you a degree of Doctor of Humane Letters, honoris causa.
By the authority of the state of Maryland, vested in the trustees of Goucher College and by them delegated to me, I confer on John R. Lewis the degree of Doctor of Humane Letters, honoris causa, with all the rights, privileges, and responsibilities pertaining thereto. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the Honorable John R. Lewis.
Mr. President, members of the Board of Trustees, Madam Chair, members of the faculty, parents, the class of 2015. You look good. As a matter of fact, you look beautiful, handsome, colorful. I must tell you that I'm delighted and so pleased to be here, to be joining you. Mr. President, I wish that I was so lucky and so blessed to have had an opportunity to attend a college like this college. It's a wonderful spirit here. It's a beautiful spirit. I must tell you that one of my most dependable, reliable, smart, staffer is a graduate of this college. She is my legislative director, Jamila Thompson, sitting in the audience. This is your day. It's not my day. It's not about me. It's your day. So I'm going to be very brief. Now, I didn't grow up in a big city like Baltimore or New York or Atlanta. I grew up in rural Alabama, 50 miles from Montgomery, outside of a little place called Troy. My father was a sharecropper, a tenant farmer. But back in 1944, when I was 4 years old, and I do remember when I was 4. Now, how many of you graduates remember when you were 4? What happened to the rest of us? My father had saved $300, and with the $300, a man sold him 110 acres of land. We still own that land today in Southeast Alabama. On this farm, we raised a lot of cotton, lots of peanuts, hogs, cows, and chickens. And then you know anything about raising chickens? Some of you like to eat chicken? But on the farm, it was my responsibility to care for the chickens. And I fell in love with raising chickens like no one else could raise chickens. When the setting hen was set, I would have to take the fresh egg and mark them with a pencil, place them under the setting hen, and wait for 3 long weeks for the little chicks to hatch. I know some of you smart graduates are saying, John Lewis, why do you mark those fresh eggs with a pencil before you place them under the setting hen? Well, from time to time, another hen would get on that same nest, and there would be some more fresh eggs. Had to be able to tell the fresh eggs from the eggs that were already under the setting hen. I was never quite able to save $18.98 to order the most inexpensive incubator from the Cecil Roebuck store. You all are too young. Maybe your grandparents will remember the Cecil Roebuck catalog, that big book. Some of us call it the wish book. I wish I had this, I wish I had that. So I just kept on wishing. When these setting hens were set and the eggs were hatched, I would take these little chicks and give them to another hen. Or put them in a box with a lantern, get some more fresh eggs. I kept on cheating on these setting hens. And when I look back on it, it was not the right thing to do. It was not the moral thing to do. It was not the most loving thing to do. It was not the most nonviolent thing to do. It was not the most democratic thing to do. As a little child, about 8 or 9 years old, I wanted to be a minister. I wanted to preach the gospel. So from time to time, with the help of my brothers and sisters and my cousins, we would gather all of our chickens together in the chicken yard. And my brothers and sisters and cousins would line the outside of the chicken yard. And I would start preaching. And when I look back on it, some of these chickens would bow their heads. Some of these chickens would shake their heads. They never quite said amen. But I'm convinced that some of those chickens that I preached to in the 40s and the 50s tended to listen to me much better than some of my colleagues listen to me today in the Congress. As a matter of fact, some of those chickens were just a little more productive. At least they produced eggs. But that's enough of that story. When we would visit the little town of Troy, visit Montgomery, visit Tuskegee, I saw the signs that said white men, colored men, white women, white waiting, colored waiting. I would come home and ask my mother, my father, my grandparents, my great-grandparents, why? And they would say, that's the way it is. That's the way it is, boy. Don't get in the way, don't get in trouble. 15 years old in the 10th grade, I heard about Rosa Parks. Heard the words of Martin Luther King Jr. on old radio. The action of Rosa Parks, the words and leadership of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. inspired me to find a way to get in the way. And I got in the way. I got in trouble, good trouble, necessary trouble. I was so inspired by Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. that in 1956, at the age of 16, with some of my brothers, sisters, and cousins, we went down to the public library in the little town of Troy, Alabama, trying to get library cards, trying to check out some books. And we were told by the librarian that the library was for whites only and not for colors. I never went back to that building until July 5th, 1998, for a book signing of my first book, Walking with the Wind. And many, many black and white citizens showed up. We had something to eat, something to drink, wonderful program, signed a lot of books. End of the program, they gave me a library card. Some may ask, how did you get involved in the civil rights movement? How did you meet Martin Luther King Jr. and Rosa Parks? When I finished high school in May of 1957, I wanted to attend a little college 10 miles from my home called Troy State College, now known as Troy University. Submitted my application, my high school transcript. Never heard a word from the college. So I wrote a letter to Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. I didn't tell my mother, my father, any of my sisters or brothers, any of my teachers. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. wrote me back and sent me a round-trip Greyhound bus ticket and invited me to come to Montgomery to meet with him. I was going off to school to Nashville in the meantime, but he heard that I was there. He got back in touch and suggested that I come and see him. So in March of 1958, this time I'm 18 years old, during spring break, I made it to Montgomery, walked in to the pastor's study of the church, and Dr. King said, "Are you the boy from Troy? Are you John Lewis?" And I said, "Dr. King, I'm John Robert Lewis." And he started calling me the boy from Troy. I continued to study in Nashville because my mother and my father were so afraid that we would lose the land, that our home would be bombed or burned. And it was in Nashville we studied the philosophy and the discipline of nonviolence. We studied the way of peace. We studied the teaching of Gandhi. We studied Thoreau and civil disobedience. We started sitting in at lunch counters, standing in at theaters. We started marching. We were beaten. We were arrested. We were jailed. To say to you, young graduates, the first time I got arrested, heard that I might be arrested, I wanted to have something new to wear to go to jail. I wanted to have a new suit. Had very little money. So I went down to a used men's store in downtown Nashville. I saw a suit. Asked the guy how much. You know how much it cost? $5. If I still had this suit today, I probably can sell it on eBay for much more. But the day that I was arrested, I felt free. I felt liberated. I felt like I crossed over. During the 60s, I was arrested 40 times. And since I've been in Congress, 5 more times. Around what was happening in South Africa, what was happening in the Sudan, and then my last arrest, last October, 8 members of Congress and 200 citizens, because we were trying to get the Speaker of the House to bring to the floor a comprehensive immigration reform bill. So I said to you as graduates, when you see something that is not right, something that is not fair, that is not just, you have a moral obligation, a mission, and a mandate to stand up. And I know you've been standing up. To speak up. I know you've been speaking up. And speak out. And find a way to get in the way. You have received a great education. And you're smart. You're gifted. But use your education. Use your skills. Use your talents to help create what Martin Luther King Jr. called the beloved community, where we can respect the dignity and the worth of every human being. It doesn't matter whether we're black or white, Latino, Asian American, or Native American. It doesn't matter whether we're straight or gay. We are one people. We are one family. We all live in the same house, not just the American house, but the world house. And we must look out for each other. Dr. King said on one occasion, we must learn to live together as brothers and sisters, or we'll perish as fools. We hadn't heard of the internet during the 60s. We didn't have a website. We didn't even have a fax machine during the movement. We had the old mimeograph machine. We didn't have an iPhone. We had a party line. Use what you have, use what you've learned to bring about a nonviolent revolution, a revolution of values, a revolution of ideas. On this little planet, on this little spaceship we call Earth, on this little piece of real estate, there are too many people who have been left out and left behind. That's not right. That's not fair. That's not just. We do not need to spend more of our limited resources on more bombs and missiles and guns. Can it possible? Is it possible to come to that point where we can say we're going to live in peace with our fellow human beings? Can we lay down the tools and instruments of violence and war? I've been a victim of violence. Just think, in 1961, when I was much younger, had all of my hair and a few pounds lighter, I went on something called a freedom ride. Back in 1961, black people and white people could be seated together on a Greyhound bus leaving Washington, D.C., traveling through Virginia. The same year that President Barack Obama was born, we were beaten. White freedom riders, African-American freedom riders. The first violence occurred in a little town called Rock Hill, South Carolina, where my seatmate, a young white gentleman, the two of us tried to enter a so-called white waiting room. We were attacked, beaten, and left lying in a pool of blood. The local police officials came up and wanted to know whether we wanted to press charges. We said no, we come with love. We believe in peace. We believe in the way of nonviolence. It was May 9th, 1961. In February 2013, one of the guys that had attacked us came to my office in Washington. He's in his 70s, with his son in his 40s, came and said, "Mr. Lewis, I'm one of the people that beat you and your seatmate." He said, "I want to apologize. Will you forgive me?" His son started crying. He started crying. I said, "I accept your apology. I forgive you. They hugged me, hugged them back, and I started crying. We must teach people the way of peace, the way of love, the way of nonviolence. Can we be human and live like human beings and just get along? You must teach the world the way of peace, the way of love, the way of nonviolence. We all live in the same house. Go out there and do it. I know you will. I want to close. Toya, I'll be brief. When I was growing up outside of Troy, Alabama, 50 miles from Montgomery, I had an aunt by the name of Seneva, and my aunt Seneva lived in what we call a shotgun house. I know you're smart, I know you're gifted, but you don't know what a shotgun house is. My aunt Seneva didn't have a green manicured lawn, had a simple plain dirt yard. And sometime at night you can look up through the holes in the ceiling, through the holes in the tin roof, and count the stars. Those of you who may not know what a shotgun house is, in the nonviolent sense, an old house, one way in, one way out, where you can bounce a basketball through the front door and it will go straight out the back door. But one Saturday afternoon, a group of my brothers and sisters and a few of my first cousins were out playing in my Aunt Seneva's dirt yard. And an unbelievable storm came up. The wind started blowing, the thunder started rolling, and the lightning started flashing. And the rain started beating on the tin roof of this old shotgun house. My aunt became terrified. She thought this old house was going to blow away. She got all of us little children together and told us to hold hands. Then one corner of this old house appeared to be lifting from its foundation. She had us to walk to that corner to try to hold the house down with our little bodies. When the other corner appeared to be lifted, she had us to walk to that side. We were little children walking with the wind, but we never, ever left the house. You must let the spirit of Goucher College be your guide. You must do everything possible to hold down our little trimming house. Not just a house of Maryland or New York or Georgia or Africa or South or Central America, but the world house. We all live in the same house. Maybe our foremothers and our forefathers all came to this great land in different ships, but we're all in the same boat now. We must look out for each other and care for each other and build a beloved community, a community at peace with itself. I wish you well. Thank you. Good luck. Go out there. Thank you.
Will the senior marshals please come forward to assist the graduates? The awarding of the degrees will begin. All guests are asked to remain in their seats and keep the aisles clear during the awarding of the degrees.
Mr. President, I have the honor to inform you that these candidates have fulfilled all the requirements for graduation, and in accordance with the recommendation of the faculty, they are presented for the degree of Bachelor of Arts.
By the authority of the state of Maryland, vested in the trustees of Goucher College by them, delegated to me, I confer on you the degree of Bachelor of Arts with all the rights, privileges, and responsibilities pertaining thereto.
Will the recipients for the degree of Bachelor of Arts please come forward as your name is called to receive your diploma? Chantel Ivan Abadi. Freshta Akbari, cum laude. Danielle C. Aliota. Diane Lee Allen. Ethan Riker Allred, cum laude. Nell Anderson, magna cum laude. William Temple Andrews, cum laude. Mafio Aku Aguea Apia Padi. Muiba Aziz, cum laude. Emma Richardson Baker, cum laude. Maria Luisa Barrera Pacheco, magna cum laude. Amna Ben-Yader. Taylor Marie Benzel. Natalie June Bertosen. John Christian Bescaby. Vidur Bharatram. Joel Edwards Pilju Brandis. William Joseph Brennan. Kellen Ann Brower, cum laude. Mackenzie Felix Brown. Marie Claire Bryant. Dana Louise Busking, cum laude. Samantha Nicole Buxenstein. Christopher Michael Byrne. Zachary Simon Byram, cum laude. Matthew Stephen Cable. Emily Jean Carlson, magna cum laude. Emily Baden Kaspari. Brian Sol Cha. Elizabeth Ann Cha. Teitina Chamiso. Keun Jaikai Charles. Dory Anna Shevlin, magna cum laude. Megan Patricia Clockley. Emily Kate Collins, summa cum laude. Zane Austin Conrad. Victoria Lee Cook. Ashley Ferguson Cowan, magna cum laude. Margaret Marie Cramarosa. Nicole Jasmine Craver. Dara Dominique Crawley, cum laude. Benjamin Powell Crosby. Margaret May Crowell. Mia Christine Daniels, summa cum laude. Samuel Robert Davis. Emma Jane Day. Taryn Hounsel Decker. Phoebe Orit Wigatow DeFries. Dante Nicholas Del Tarzo, magna cum laude. Elizabeth Rose Depta, magna cum laude. Beth Priscilla Doherty, magna cum laude. Emily Elizabeth Doherty, cum laude. Tyson John Douglas. Maeve M. Downey, magna cum laude. Elizabeth Catherine Drinkwater. Hannah Esther Dubow. Maring F. Eberlein, magna cum laude. Salima Elmazwira El Glawi. Alexander C. Fife Tyenson. Hannah Marie Fenster, magna cum laude. Joseph Harris Fink, magna cum laude. Erica Noemi Flores. Adrian A. Flowers. Alan Thomas Ford. Ann H. Fortenberry, cum laude. Elizabeth Claire Fox. Elizabeth Mary Franz. Remy Amber Frisch. Emily Autumn Getoff, cum laude. Emily Birch Gill. Audrey Anna Ginger, cum laude. Carly Jane Glassman. Elena Elizabeth Lucille Goldsboro, cum laude. Courtney Lynn Griffo. Hannah Beth Haber. Katie Marie Hall. Sophia A. Hamlin. Leela Rochelle Hannah Cohen. Sarah Alice Harris. William Malone Harris, cum laude. Elizabeth Sarah Harvey. Alyssa Julia Houtman, magna cum laude. Christopher Colin Hayes, magna cum laude. Rebecca Catherine Hazani, cum laude. Colin Alexander Hemmond. Leah Devora Metzger Hirschman, magna cum laude. Alice Howland. Julia Christine Hudson. Mara Lynn Hutz, magna cum laude. Maxon Iana Jack Monroe, cum laude. Kaylee Shoshana Jeanette. Savindu J. Alicia Marie Johnston. Abigail Sue Jones, cum laude. Tiffany Amber Marie Jones. Talia Louise Figon Katz, magna cum laude. Arseny Michael Kaluzhinsky. Benjamin Ethan Kane. Eli Michael Kaufman. Charles W. E. Kiefer. Alexandra Rose Kessler. Elizabeth Lilia Kiger, magna cum laude. Gabriel McGlynn Kelhauer. Christina Kim. Claire Barbara Kuntz, magna cum laude. Alexander Freeborn Kurz. Sharon Marie Landstrom. Jacob Abraham Lang. Alexander Nathaniel Lappin. Tree Duke Lay, magna cum laude. Ji-sun Lee. Megan Marie Lee, summa cum laude. Ellen Patricia Leitner, cum laude. Sarah Leanne Lepianka. Jane Ann Marciano Levenstein, magna cum laude. Emily Claire Levine, cum laude. Haley Caitlin Leibowitz. Lindsay Ann Long. Madeline Nicole Lucas. Crystal Lynn Lowe, magna cum laude. Emma Margaret Ling, magna cum laude. Zoe Ann Malkin. Laura Elizabeth Malone. Richard Allen Melson. Julian Tarrant Manning. Nathan Raditz Margolis, cum laude. Janaea Danielle Jalalia Mark. Kira Perundi McCarthy, cum laude. Colleen Kristen McCauley. Marie Rose McConville. Dylan Moore Lillis McDonough, magna cum laude. Caitlin Mireille McFarland, cum laude. Jessica Charlotte McGee. Megan Amanda McHarg. Frances Emily McIntyre, cum laude. Kiana Shilesa McNeil. Jacqueline Valerie Mail, cum laude. Rita Kareen Meisner. Megan Harris Molesky. Samantha Adele Messina. Joel Douglas Michael Schwartz. Zachary David Michaels. Tiana K. Mignana, cum laude. Grant Ian Miller. Shaniqua Shante Mines. Elisa Christine Minis. Travis Ryan Tamora Miyashiro, summa cum laude. Gwendolyn Kendall Moyles, cum laude. Courtney Marie Mooney. Janice Anne Marie Moore. Anya Faye Morales. Sam Thomas Morgan. Brian W. Morton II. Zachary Irwin Moss. Catherine Thaler Maurer. Patrick Matthew Mernon, cum laude. Sarah Elizabeth Murphy, cum laude. Michael E. Nachman. Kelsey Francis Newland, cum laude. Rebecca Taylor Newman. Davin Ming Un Ing. Julia Nak Kim Nguyen. Alexander Maurice Noble. Christopher Nobriga. Laura Elena Ojeda, magna cum laude. Annika Sienna Osorio. Hannah Lauren Pace. Jamafel Shanali Pacheco. Lauren Michelle Paget, cum laude. Jiwon Park. Mary Julia Pierce, magna cum laude. Faith Rosa Lee Pearson, cum laude. Nicholas Eugene Polensky, cum laude. Jennifer Marie Paliza. Alexander Jackson Perotka Barcia. Emily Sabrina Pichot, magna cum laude. Cameron Leroy Polistry Scott. Stephen Ray Gavrin Poloff. Timothy Michael Prosser. Lindsay Marie Popala. Alexander James Quilter. Thomas Hunter Rakes. Jessica Miriam Rank. Christina Sarah Rappaport. Sarah Lorena Rattry, summa cum laude. Emma Rose Rabden. Yasha Sergey Raisberg. Catherine Elizabeth Callahan Reed. Dylan Moyer Resnick. Christian Robert Montero Ribeiro. Nina Maria Ritchie, cum laude. Christopher Robert Rice, cum laude. Craig Stephen Ritchie. Philomena Vittoria Rizzi. Nicole Maria Rodriguez Torres. Therese Marie Ronco, summa cum laude. Adrian Jeremy Rose, cum laude. Haley Elizabeth Rose, cum laude. Emily Rosen, magna cum laude. Emily Suzanne Ruff, cum laude. Justine Page Rulin, cum laude. Megan Rutkowski. Marietta Safanova. LaShaw Haval Salta. Maria Sanchez Calzada, magna cum laude. Emma Rose Sarfati, magna cum laude. Eric Thompson Sargent, magna cum laude. Ilana Zipora Miller-Shayer. Austin William Sester Schmitz, magna cum laude. Sophie Rachel Schoenberg. Lana Lee Sagarnik. Philip Rothschild Seidel, cum laude. Carrie-Anne Simone Maria Sejour. Mark R. Simeonov. Kira Schaefer. Zachary James Shea. Erica Thomas Shalom. Molly Hathaway Sherwood, cum laude. Olivia Ronit Shestapal. Melissa Rose Schulman. Emilia Paige Slimson, magna cum laude. Slimmen. Harrison Robert Slomione. Connor Jeffrey Snow, summa cum laude. Gabriel Jacqueline Spear, magna cum laude. Deborah Sperling Billings, magna cum laude. Hannah Elise Spiegelman, magna cum laude. Gabriel Joshua Stahl. Maya Louise Stam, summa cum laude. Adam Gregory Stein. Lauren P. Steinhoff. Bianca Zia Stern, magna cum laude. Stephanie Nicole Stern. Morgan Rachel Stevens, magna cum laude. Arlen Philip Straussman, cum laude. Jenna Sumar, cum laude. Parisa Murtaz Naqvi Syed. Devin Elizabeth Tate, magna cum laude. David Alexander Taylor. Maggie Renee Tice, magna cum laude. Michelle Sawanto Churto. Stacy Michelle Tomasetti, cum laude. Sean Michael Toll. India M. Trapp. Andrew Todd Troster. Lydia Kathleen Truitt. Ruby Claire Tucker. Haley Elizabeth Turnbach. Kelsey Maureen Turner. Jonathan Paul Valeri. Marina de los Angeles Velasquez Suarez. Diana Galen Vogel. David Augustus Walagurski. Erin Alexandra Walker. Amanda Ellen Wall, cum laude. Alexandra Taverner Walsh. Rachel May Ward. Jacob Benjamin Wartenberg. Brandon Joseph Weiner. Alyssa Veronica Whitney, cum laude. Zoe Elizabeth Wilkerson, magna cum laude. Rebecca Saber Williams. Geneva Amber Winters, summa cum laude. Alyssa Laiching Stephanie Witriol. Daniel Scott Witt.
Forgot Gavin.
Oops. Gavin Alexander Wilson. Elizabeth Merrill Wolf. Sorry about that. Emmanuel Earl Wood. Samuel Robert Woodruff. Zachary Matthew Risk. Phoebe Pauline Yo, magna cum laude. Eric John Young. Eliana Braca Zimet, magna cum laude. Dylan Lee Zook.
Please help me congratulate the Goucher class of 2015. Now I'd like to introduce Stephen Klepper, class of 1997, president of the Alumni and Alumni of Goucher College.
As the president of the Alumni and Alumni of Goucher College, it is my great privilege and genuine honor to induct the class of 2015 into the Alumni and Alumni Association. Will the class of 2015 please stand? On behalf of the Alumni and Alumni of Goucher College, and with great personal pleasure, I would like to recognize your achievement in graduating from this fine institution. You are joining a large, resourceful community of more than 21,000 Goucher alumni and alumni who live in all 50 states and in 52 countries. You are members, and actually I want to stop for a moment and say, you are unlikely to remember anything I say up here. But if you do remember one thing, you are members of the Goucher community for life. On your chair, you will find a luggage tag, a commencement gift to each of you from the AAGC. It is a symbol of many things, how Goucher and our study abroad program are parts of your identity, how you will carry Goucher with you on your many adventures to come, and our hope that you will remain attached to those things you hold precious. Your Goucher education has prepared you to go far and to do great things. We hope, too, that you will return to visit us. Our paths are now joined forever. You will always be a Goucher grad, and our success is your success. Wherever you go, you will always have a home here. Though that home will not include Stimson shortly. At Goucher, you learned about the importance of social justice and giving back. We sincerely hope you will give back to Goucher during the many years to come, and that you will give to each other and to future alumni. You have now joined an elite and very special group. You are an alumna or alumnus of Goucher College. Okay, if you have a class ring, please turn that out to face the world and take those tassels and move them to the left. Congratulations, everyone.
The new school song, We Are Goucher, will now be performed by senior members of the Goucher College Chorus. The lyrics are printed inside the back cover of the commencement program. To all of you, our graduates, as you go forth to make your unique contributions to the world, as you respond, accomplish, and discover, as you find a way to get in the way, know that you will always have a home here at Goucher. Our exercises will close with the benediction. Following the benediction, the audience is requested to remain in their seats until the academic procession has passed. Family members and guests, you're invited to join the faculty and graduates at a reception in front of the chapel. It's that way.
I'm Rabbi Josh Snyder, Director of Goucher College, Hillel. In Pirkei Avot, or the Ethics of the Fathers, the 2nd century compilation of rabbinic sayings, Rabbi Tarfon teaches, "It is not your obligation to complete the task, but neither are you at liberty to desist from it entirely. If you have studied much, your reward will be abundant. Your employer can be relied upon to reward you for your labors. Know, however, that the reward of the righteous is in a future time." Class of 2015, parents, families, friends, distinguished honorees, faculty, and staff. You who leave this place today go out into a world that is changing and that needs more change. There is much justice to be pursued, and each of you, in ways large and small, will use your experience and your knowledge and your relationships to impact this world for good. I didn't say can, I said will. It is not your obligation to complete the task, but neither are you at liberty to desist from it entirely. You have to go out every day and try, knowing that likely when you trudge home in the evening, the job will not be fully done. No movement that has mattered has been entirely on the shoulders of one person or has ever been easy to complete. As Congressman Lewis let us know, the civil rights movement is not only our history, it is our present and our future. And 50 years in, there is a lot of work left for each of us to do. If you have studied much, your reward will be abundant. Your undergraduate education may be over, but by God, your learning has just begun. Read, watch, think, be willing to evolve and progress, and you will continue to reap the rewards of your education here for a lifetime. Your employer, capital E, can be relied upon to reward you for your labors. When you work hard in this world, you will find endless rewards, some monetary, hopefully, yes, but others, spiritual, psychological, emotional, rewards for giving to another person. The rewards another person cannot give you, those come from within and from above. Know, however, that the reward of the righteous is in a future time. Each of us works to plant a legacy for our descendants and for future generations. True righteousness is rooted in selflessness. Aim not only to benefit yourself and your family, but others across this world that we share and in generations to come. May you be blessed and kept from all harm. May you find goodness and grace on all the paths you face, and may your striving for purpose endow you with a sense of peace.
Awesome.